Oh, you know what song I didn't put on the list?
Oh,
That bloody Iron Maiden one. Lord of the Lord of the Flies. Do you remember that
oh,
one?
fucking
Of
hell
the
off
Blaze
X
one.
Factor.
Saints and sinners.
Do you know what? I can't even remember how that song goes.
You know, it goes like Saints and sinners,
For a Brit for life.
something within us. Hello and welcome to the Jam Sessions podcast. For me, your host John. Mike is here once again. Hello, Mike.
Hello, I am here.
How have you been?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah. A nice, interesting episode we've got here.
Ah, yeah, I've been sick as a dog me recently.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm on the mend though. I'm on the
Uh,
mend. Before we get into the episode, I want to kind of add on a little bit to the show at the beginning of each show, which to fit in with the cute musical theme. I thought I'd call it guitar tuning. We're going to do a bit of
yeah.
tuning, make sure our instruments are all tuned up. Basically, a bit of housekeeping. So right off the bat, thanks for listening. Please, whatever platform you're listening to us on, please subscribe, follow, leave a like, leave a comment, vote in the poll, etc., etc. That really helps us out. Thank you. Moving on for the next episodes, please write into us via comments, DMs, etc. And at the beginning of each show, we'll kind of like read them out, maybe reflect on previous episodes, any mistakes we've made or any comments people have made.
Yeah.
Just try and get a bit of an engagement with the audience, really. So
Good idea, yeah.
that's it. We're tuned up to East Standard. We're ready to go now. So today's episode is the seven deadly sins.
Mm.
So if anyone's unaware with the seven deadly sins, it basically comes from like kind of Christian philosophy, really.
Yeah.
You ever seen the film Seven?
I haven't, no.
No. If you've seen the film Seven, you'll know exactly what the seven deadly sins are. I mean, the seven deadly sins are like the reason they're called the seven deadly sins is because they're like very easy to kind of fall into, like very
Yeah.
easy trappings. So we've got pride, which to me is like, yeah, whatever. Like you've got to be proud of something. You've got to have pride. It's not the
Yeah.
worst thing in the world. Greed, yeah, I agree with that. Greed's quite bad.
Mhm.
Wrath, obviously, wrath is quite bad. Envy, it's something we all go through,
So
isn't it?
envy can lead to the other sins, can't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, lust, sexiness,
Yeah.
kisses and cuddles, gluttony, Big Macca's, Big McDonald's,
Yeah.
and sloth, being lazy.
Hmm.
So what we've kind of done is we've kind of done this kind of thing where we picked a song each that we think kind of represents each sin. I think maybe we have different interpretations of it once again, which is always always the reason why I kind of pick episodes like this, because for me, I've tried to go with a song that kind of the band or the artist has unintentionally kind of fallen into the sin.
Yeah.
I haven't really picked songs that are deliberately about the subject, but more
Yeah.
like the artist, whoever's written the song, has kind of been caught
Right.
in the
Yeah.
act of doing this kind of sin,
That's really
so to
interesting.
say.
Yeah, that's interesting because I have gone down the other route. I have picked songs that lyrically address each sin, basically, or stylistically, musically address each sin. In the case of one particular song, anyway. Yeah, I think it's really interesting that we've got the contrast because I wanted to pick seven songs that I enjoy. First and foremost, I thought I'll target that specific way of approaching this subject. I'll pick seven songs that I enjoy that in some way or another address each sin. And you've gone down the other road, haven't you? You've picked a
Yeah.
lot of songs that I think you would say you wouldn't enjoy.
Well, it kind of harpens back to the previous episode we did in a way. I think a lot of these songs at some point, a lot of these songs are songs that I've heard growing up and throughout my life. Some I've got a lot of praise for, some I do like,
Yeah,
some not so much.
yeah,
And that's kind of why I think they are like kind of sinful. I think like, oh, this is like really like, they've gone too far with this, or this is really kind of showing their greed or showing their. So I think I went through a few changes because there were some like really obvious picks that I went for. And I
yeah,
went, no, let me try and like dive a bit deeper. And I also wanted just another excuse to kind of expose you to some music that you may not have heard before, just like you've done with me,
yeah.
really. So let's get into pride, 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 pride.
Sprite.
So my pick, we've got a double bill here. My pick is Iron Maiden, off the album Iron Maiden from 1980. What doesn't scream pride like a song titled After Your Band off an album that's also titled After Your Band. I chose this for the Pride Team because it's basically kind of like the band's own little like national anthem, isn't it? You know, it's always played at the live shows. It's got that chorus like Iron Maiden's gonna get you.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of chant thing, isn't it? And it's kind of like you know, it's not again like I don't find pride being a bad sin. I don't find being proud being bad. And to be honest, the band Iron Maiden, I think, fully deserve their pride. In all fairness, you know, they've really, you know, they're pioneers of a music genre in a way. You know, all the credit for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I've kind of picked its pride. The song itself is an actual track review. Personally, I do like it for its kind of punk metal fusion, something that obviously was kind of started in the Maiden starting up early days and completely kind of, you know, moved on from that later on. The production is dog bin for me. It does give the song, but for me, it does give the song like such a charm. I can't help but have a little baby grin for it. The baby bass at the end,
Steve's a great bassist.
And that stingy guitar, that. So, Iron Maiden off Iron Maiden. What do you think?
Do you know what? I've said this to you before that it's far from my favourite Iron Maiden song. I don't think it's a bad song at all, and I do like a lot of these Paul Di'Anno tracks off the self-titled album and off Killers as well. I think there's a lot of great songs sort of hidden in those albums that people wouldn't, you know, normally associate with Iron Maiden. This song, I see why you've picked this song for Pride. And just going back to the subject of the sin itself, Pride, I agree. I've never really fully understood why Pride is considered a sin, because I'm sure if I read the Bible, it'd explain it to me, but I can't be bothered doing that.
Pride comes before the fall, I suppose, but at the same time, it's like if you haven't got pride in your work, like, you know, what is the point, you know?
Well, pride signifies to me that you have done something that is an accomplishment, which is not a bad thing, is it? So,
which I made 100% of the entitled to feel that way for.
Very bold of them to make this song. Was this the first song on the album?
No, the first song's Prowler, isn't it? I can't remember where about on the track list and this one lies.
I think
it's on the back end, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very bold of them to do that. Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden.
Yeah. I can't think of any other band that's done that.
Yeah, off the very first album, it's very bold, isn't it? It's sort of like a mission statement, isn't it? And to be fair, they went and they surpassed everything that they did on that album in the future. So yeah, I give this track a solid. I rate this track, but it's not my favourite Iron Maiden track.
Yeah.
I could take or leave it in the grand scheme of the discography, but I think it was a good pick for this sin in particular.
Okay, so carrying on with the Iron Maiden, a few years later, we've got Iron Maiden, The Trooper, off the Peace of Mind album from 1983. Yeah, this is a very patriarchal song, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the charge of the Light Brigade during the Crimean War. I wish I could remember the name of the battle, because my dad will kill me if he's listening to this. I can't remember the name of the battle, but it's definitely from the Crimean War.
Yeah.
Basically, if you know your history about it, don't you? You know, the cavalry charged down. It's like down like a valley, and they just got absolutely torn to shreds. You know what I mean?
Is this song lyrically from this? This is from the perspective of a soldier fighting in that war, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Is it a soldier that does he?
He dies, doesn't he? Yeah.
I was going to say, does he lose his limbs or something, and he's just trying to desperately fight on or something? I don't know.
He gets he gets shot, doesn't he? Like the Russian fires, and he feels the blow.
Yeah.
Takes down his horse, and there's blah blah below. He gazes at the sky and cries, "Oh bloody hell, I'm dead! Super bad."
Isn't this just like quintessential metal track? This is such a classic, isn't it? Like, I picked this song not only for the lyrics directly referencing, you know, the pride of like a soldier fighting for his country, but the way this song makes me feel when I listen to it and when I hear it live. And you know, you've got Bruce running around on stage with his Union Jack and everything from the crowd, and I'm just like, oh my god, this song pumps me up so much. I love it so much.
I definitely see it from the live angle, because if anyone doesn't listen to Iron Maiden, know much about Iron Maiden, during this song, Bruce Dickinson, lead singer, he always gets kitted out in his British bloody like the uniform at the time of this battle.
Yeah.
He goes around waving the Union Jack. He's got the sword. It's all, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is all very anthemic.
Yeah.
I think like the imagery from the single of Eddie holding a flag running toward in the battlefield, and like you see it like when you go to like away abroad on holiday, you see it on like tacky t-shirts where they've changed like the flag to like their nation's flag and the likes of that, haven't they? Obviously, they made a beer and named it after this song,
The
didn't he? And
adventurer,
like this beer gets fucking pushed everywhere. Like you see it everywhere, don't you? Like they've really become quite commercial, haven't they? But at the same time, that's kind of like a story for another day, really.
yeah.
You know, the Maiden saga's coming next year, so we'll kind of hold off on too much. But
Do you
yeah,
know what, as well? Just before we finish, the fact that they've made the Trooper beer, which it didn't even come to me when I was, considering what song to pick for this list. But that's an example of pride in itself, isn't it?
yeah.
You've got a mass-produced beer out there. You've named it after one of your own songs, and it's like, and it's got the Iron Maiden branding all over it, hasn't it? It's the font's the same and everything, and it's
Yeah.
like this band are proud of what they've done, and rightly so.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, one last comment I'd like to make is the galloping bass really kind of works with the visuals of the cavalry charge. Just amazing song, love it. I don't know if you contributed with this bit, but I've chose a artist who is a sinner of the sin, and my pride sinner is Brian May of Queen fame. I've always found him irritating as hell. To be honest, like he's so boastful about Queen, and he thinks the band's the one thing he goes on about is like he thinks it was worth a piss after Freddie died, which it really wasn't.
No,
And like I've got to be honest, and I know I'll upset a few like Queen fans, but I think he's a bit of a gimp. Like, he always just comes off so like smug and so like see, and he's like, yes, I was in Queen. Like, it's like
yeah,
look, think in your head now to all like the greatest hits of Queen, and think how little guitar are actually in them songs. Like
mm,
he makes out that he was like the mastermind behind it all, and like if you ever hear like any behind the scenes stories. Like it's always like, oh, they were coming up with this, coming up with that, and he was in the corner going, "Can I put more guitar in it, please?" Under pressure, apparently he really like saw his arse over that because he wanted more guitar in it,
right.
and it's like,
Well,
yeah, for me, it's like it's too much,
it
like the
says that he's
pride and the
it says that he's a bit of a one trick pony, really, doesn't it? Like he couldn't just pick up the keyboard or the synth or whatever and just add little. It had to be his guitar. It had to be sort of like what he's this tried and trusted thing. Didn't it? He couldn't just learn a new skill for the sake of the band, could he?
no, I mean, I don't want to talk out of place. I don't know if he was a multi instrumentalist, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. It's the way I've always seen him come across. So if you got a pride sinner,
I didn't actually. I mean, we've done Iron Maiden, haven't we? We've picked two Iron Maiden songs
yeah,
for the Sin of Pride, so I'd probably just have to go with Iron Maiden. They are like I don't know. There's something about them when you go and see them
would
live,
you go with
especially
Steve Harris in particular.
in terms of a member of the band.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, he's the chief songwriter, isn't he?
yeah,
So yeah, yeah,
and he was head honcho, isn't he? So we're moving on now to greed, greedy, greedy, money grab, give, give, give. Nice, nice, nice. And the song I chose for greed was Pink Floyd's "Learning to Fly" off the Momentary Lapse of Reason album from 1987. Guilty of greed, mainly from David Gilmore and his kind of insistence to continue Pink Floyd's name and their band after Roger Waters left in 1985.
yeah,
So they did The Wall, did the final cut, all called it a day, split up. I think Roger's interpretation was that the band was done, but Gilmore wanted to carry it on. I think they both tried to go down solo avenues, and I think what Gilmore realised was like, you can't really fill out the stadiums that you can when you're under the Pink Floyd brand. So he
mm,
kind of brought it back quite we're talking like what a good couple of years after the band had kind of decided to split ways.
yeah,
Gilmore, not even an original member of the band, he came in later in the Sid Barrett times. So obviously, Nick Mason, Rick Wright was still there, but it did feel a bit. Well, it did. I wasn't even alive at the time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It does feel somewhat a bit like okay, you kind of dragging the name through the mud a
mm,
little bit. They put out two very so to kind of poor albums,
yeah,
and then in more recent years, there's been just constant box sets and full of just studio floor scraps and
yeah,
just constant. But the song itself, as I say, now I don't have heaps of love for the post Waters Pink Floyd, but I'd have to say this is probably one of the best post Rogers songs. So make of that what you will.
yeah,
I do have a softness for the song. Again, Pink Floyd, one of the first bands I was ever really listening to as a kid.
yeah,
So this song has been in my life for a long time. It's soft, but it's also very like maths teacher coded, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see any promotional material of band around this time, they all look like geography teachers on a trip out.
Yeah.
Like the kind of image of a rock band is just gone at this point. Like, you know, the men in their 40s, receding hairlines, the
Yeah.
lot, you know what I mean? The solo at the end is quite good, but all in all the song is kind of overly 80s cheese, and it just feels like it's wanking itself off with its ambition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just really out there, really like
Yeah, it's for me. I didn't take to this song at all. It was the first time I'd heard it. I
mm,
can understand why you would say that this is greed motivated as well, especially when you look at the sort of stylistic shift from what this doesn't sound like a Pink Floyd song to me.
yeah,
Again,
I'm intrigued. So, like, what is your Pink Floyd like experience? Like, what have you listened to from Pink Floyd? Because this is a band that changed
yeah,
so many times, and you know, went from like psychedelic kind of you
yeah,
know to spacey rock to this kind of big concepts, big
yeah,
ideas kind of thing to kind of the later stuff like this, which was a bit you know just a
yeah.
bit Phil Collinsy, a bit like
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, you know.
It's trying to. It's a band that are trying to adapt. Well, a band. I say a band. It's basically David Gilmour's solo project at this point in the 80s, and that
Yeah.
trying to transition into a new era of music. Personally, my favourite era of Pink Floyd has always been the mid 70s prog
Yeah,
era. Animals, Wish You Were Here,
the wall.
obviously Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall ish.
Oh,
It's not my favorite. It's not.
future
I think.
episode incoming here. Future episode incoming.
I think it's a bit too long for what it is. But yeah, again, like the early stuff, the '60s, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and all that. I appreciate that sort of stuff. I don't really go back to it very often.
No,
So
neither
my
do
my personal Pink Floyd picks would be Animals and Wish You Were Here.
Yeah.
I don't think that this '80s sound that they're embarking on, this ultra cheese sort of new wave inspired, whatever you want to call it, stadium arena rock, did them any favours really. I think David Gilmour should have just stuck to his guns and gone with the solo project thing,
Yeah.
or maybe formed a new band. But like you said, the reason you've picked this is for greed. It's greed motivated using
No.
that Pink Floyd
Pink
name.
Floyd sells records. It's a
Exactly.
name, it's a brand, you
Yeah,
know.
using the Pink Floyd name to basically sell his solo records is it's a good pick in the sense that for this particular sin.
Yeah. So next song we've got your pick is Wu Tang Clan Cream CREAM.
Cash rules everything around me.
Oh, I didn't think of that from 1993. Do you know the album name? Because I don't.
Enter the 36 Chambers.
Okay. Well,
Great hip hop album.
I'll pass it on to you here because you this is your pick.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, I struggled with greed. I really struggled to pick a song that I enjoy that is about greed, about, sort of being motivated by cash, by money. This song, basically, if you read into the lyrics, it's more about like the hustle of the streets and stuff, and using and the sort of the motivation for money leading you down a path of like crime,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So I picked this song because of the title of the song. Basically, just directly it says it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Cash
yeah, yeah.
rules everything around me. That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
The Cream. So I just picked this song because I think it's a hip hop classic. It's arguably my favorite hip hop song of all
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
So we've not had a lot of hip hop on this podcast, have we? So
No, you're always going to struggle to get much out of me on the hip hop side. Like,
any opportunity I get to throw a hip hop song your way, I'll do it. You know what I mean? So what did you actually think upon assuming this was your first listen?
yeah, okay. So right, anyway, off the top, I mean, rap slash hip hop is often very ego based, very boasting. It's the game, seems to be the generic cash, drugs, being off the streets, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So there's lots you can pick from rap and hip hop that kind of come from the greed element. You know, the cream got the money, dollar bill, yo. I've just got to admit, I don't care for the samples on loop. It's something that, like, with me, I
Yeah.
feel like a song needs to, like, move and progress and go somewhere where it's just kind of like, when it kind of gets to loop to the point where you can hear where the sample ends and then just
Mm,
immediately restarts, and it's
yeah.
like just that little tingly piano just over and over again. It does great on me, and like, you know, I, I appreciate the flow. I appreciate kind of like the rap and the
Yeah.
you know what they're doing and kind of how it's being portrayed. But this is just not me music. It's not me coded
It's
whatsoever.
fair enough, isn't it? I mean,
Um,
what I will say about this song in sort of comparison to some other hip hop that's come out, I feel like this feels like it's coming from a very genuine place. as opposed to something you'd look at like maybe 50 Cent or something, or The Game,
Yeah, because
you
I remember.
reference.
Yeah,
Like that's just all about like I've got more money than you, I've got better chains than you, more gold chains,
yeah.
more jewelry than you, and this is more sort of like this is what we have had to do to survive.
Growing up as a kid, like I just couldn't stand rap or hip hop. I hated it with a passion,
Yeah,
and it was like the biggest rappers that were kind of going around the time I was growing up was like 50 Cent,
yeah, yeah.
and it was getting into all that, and like I just could like the whole concept of 50 Cent just filled me with hate. It was just like boastful, sex, fucking drugs, money, gangsters, shooting, crime, and like part of me kind of thinks that it does a disservice to this music genre because
Yeah,
like
yeah, it
as
does.
I've grown up and kind of listened to a lot of older stuff, I'm like
Mm.
this comes from like a genuine place, there really was like a struggle in these people's lives. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I remember watching the what was it, Straight Out Compton,
yeah.
the NWA film.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that, and like I
Yeah.
really kind of like obviously it borderlines of fiction on a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But like I really kind of appreciate kind of like where it was coming from, and like I even find some of their music like a little bit rocky and a little bit like rock orientated.
Do you know what?
So
There's a lot of rock
I
Yeah,
do enjoy that a lot more than kind of this kind of more.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
that over and over and over and over and over again. Like it does kind of like I'm just like hovering my finger over that skip button. Like come on, come on, come on, come
For,
on.
I'll throw you a bonus recommendation here on the podcast now. Then, if you like hip hop that uses a lot of rock samples, I would recommend the Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique.
Yeah, I always hated them growing up.
Yeah, well,
Always hated them.
check that album
Yeah.
out. It's actually really good. It is a little bit more on the sort of like cheesy-ish sort of New York side than something
Hmm.
like Wu Tang, but it's
Yeah.
worth a listen. It's got a lot of great rock samples in there. So, but yeah, and again, the reason I went back to this song for Greed was it spells it out for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Right, so my greed sinner, Taylor Swift. Taylor
Yes.
Swift, not only is she probably up there with the wealthiest of artists now, but her insistence to have her like really kind of mid recent album, that album is really kind of. And this is coming from. I feel like I've got to confess that I am a former Taylor Swift fan,
A former
and it's
Swiftie.
a former Swiftie, and it's only in recent. It's only in the past like 2, 3 years, I'd say, I've really gone off her like
Mm.
big style. Like I really like. I'm listening to it and I'm kind of seeing it and getting exposed to it, and I'm like, I really just don't like you as a person,
Same, yeah.
and I don't like your creative output at this moment in time.
Yeah, good shout that,
So
yeah.
not only has she got like this new album that's kind of overshadowed everyone, and what she's doing with it, and she's kind of using it to like overshadow everyone else and prevent other artists from getting like number one spots. So like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Billie Eilish like released an album, and then she just really keeps releasing like new deluxe versions of this album, and it's got like originally like extra tracks, few more extra tracks, few more.
Mm.
It's got to the point now where she's literally releasing phone notes, phone like voice recordings off her phone,
And
and it's
people are
like
people are stupid enough to buy that, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. Like in the comment in like the brackets, it's like a voice note version, and it's
Oh
like
my God.
you are literally scraping. Like I said with Pink Floyd, like the one thing I hate is like when artists re-release albums and these big box sets, and they've got all these like extra discs and extra stuff, and it's just like studio scraps in it. It's
Yeah.
like outtakes and demos, and I know some people like have a lot of love for that stuff, but I can't stand it,
Yeah,
mate.
I'll say.
It's like it kind of ruins. It's kind of like takes the lifts the curtain a bit, doesn't it? And
I,
like
I, I never
unveils,
listen. If I'm listening to an album, I listen to the original album. I never listen to bonus deluxe editions or anything crap like that. I
no,
just want to hear the album as it was originally intended. And just before we move on, Taylor Swift could fit into any of these sins. She could definitely fit into Pride.
yeah,
She could definitely fit into Envy because some of her music is so unbelievably bitter, it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Wrathful is bitter, and
She could definitely fit into Wrath because she seems to be trying to stop fellow female artists from, reaching number one through for some bizarre reason. She could definitely fit into Greed, as you've said. She could probably fit into Gluttony in one way or another because some of her music is stupidly indulgent as
yeah.
well. And what's the last one we've got?
Well, there's lust. Well,
She could
look,
definitely
look,
fit.
look at her track record of
Yeah.
their ex-boyfriends, and then sloth for just kind of like the
Yeah.
laziness of the work output that's
Yeah.
been on the last two albums, I'd say.
So congratulations, Taylor Swift. You are actually the devil. It fits in perfectly into every single deadly sin.
Oh dear, I hope Swifties don't listen to this.
The artist I've picked for Greed is obviously Metallica. Um,
Oh yeah.
and we did a big section on this in the last episode, so I won't go too in detail, but I'll just sum it up here with basically the load and reload era was downing tools of any artistic integrity that the band had left over from the 80s in pursuit of a pure cash grab just to sell out. And the fact that it was at the expense of the artistic integrity, as confirmed by James Hetfield in an interview when he said that him and Robert Trujillo basically just went along with what Lars and Kirk wanted to do on load and
Yeah.
reload. So he's basically confirmed that this was just they didn't actually have this music didn't speak to them in any way, shape, or form. It's just they've done it for cash grab, haven't they? So
Yeah.
those albums are the epitome of greed, the sin.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. We'll get into Metallica related things later, actually.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to Wrath now. Oh, I'm bloody angry! Big punch. Right, I've picked. I can't wait for this. Eminem, Kim, 2000, off the Marshall Matters LP. Yeah, that one. Yeah. I mean, do I even have to explain myself for this pick? A rage-filled murder fantasy song about Eminem kidnapping his ex, killing a husband. I don't know all the full Kim lore. I know that like throughout the albums, the Kim lore expanded and grew, but she had a husband, she had a bloody stepson in that, and this song's basically about him going around the house, killing them all, taking her away, with his daughter in the back seat, and then killing her, and just going on this absolute like incel rage.
Yeah. Sell rage.
Yeah. This used to spook the hell of me. It really used to spook me as a kid. I'm like lying on my bed with the headphones on, like, don't let me wake this baby. You don't know what I'm about to do. God, please help me now! And I used to be like, oh my god, this is so dark, this is so gruesome. Bloody hell, Eminem is a force to be not to be reckoned with. But really, like part of it just makes me laugh now. Like the naff kind of singing part, they're like, so long, bitch, you did me so
Oh,
wrong.
that's terrible, that bit,
The
isn't it?
whole like pantomime, him playing Kim as well as himself, and she's like, he's like, shut the fuck up, bitch! Oh!
Don't know, I listened to this and I was a bit like, this is maybe just overstepping the mark a little bit because he did on his first album, he was sort of playing this Slim Shady character that was sort of cheeky and murderous and all. It was a bit sort of funny, like a cartoon, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this one, I'm a little bit like, actually, you sound like you could carry this action out, and I'm like, you sound actually like you're being serious. You don't sound like you're joking or anything or playing a character on this song. It's a little, I still find it a little bit disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is from a sense, but like at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's just that you think I'm ugly, don't you? You
Imagine.
think I'm ugly, don't you?
I've got to say, well, you hit the nail on the head with the singing part. I thought that was so awfully bad. I was like, you could have got someone to feature on this song who can actually sing because it's just so long. Then he's like, you bitch, you got me so wrong.
I don't want to go
yeah,
on
that little shift
living in
down.
this world without you.
It's not a good song. It is.
Just
It's really bad, actually. It's really bad.
imagine like Dr. Dre behind the screen with like his headphones on, like none on the mixes, like none his head, like yeah. And then like they cut it and Dre's like that's great man, but putting right on the record.
Do you know what the thing about this song is? It's got very little rapping in it, hasn't it? Like, there's not much rapping in it. It's basically just arguments.
It's just a rage in it. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
It's a pure murder fantasy. I think like what made me laugh is remember the whole the last album came out. And,
Yeah.
all the like,
Okay.
I'm gonna get cancelled, and like, I saw TikToks of people going like, "Oh, if Gen Z thinks this album's bad, wait till they listen to Kim." And
Yeah.
it's like, I wonder what Gen Z would think of this song because like they probably would just like roll their eyes, and be like, "Okay, boomer," you know what I mean? Like, it is like it has got that cringe, you know what I mean? Like, but
I don't know. I imagine Gen Z are quite a sensitive generation with regards to the whole, social media, cancel culture, and all that sort of stuff. I can imagine that they do. I can imagine that if this song was released on Eminem's new album, that he would have actually been cancelled.
yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
it just goes to show, doesn't it, of how like how boneless he is these days, and
Yeah,
how that last album really just was a pathetic. Going back to Greed, like a cash grab attempt of like, let's stir up some controversy. Whereas back in the day, the credit to him, he knew how to stir some fucking controversy
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I haven't done like full. I do remember like doing like research on Eminem and looking into his past and that. And I think this song did spark a bit of,
Yeah, yeah.
and then obviously there was the Columbine incident as well around this time. He was one of the main names that was getting like thrown under the bus as well as like
Yeah,
Marilyn
Madeline. Yeah.
Manson and the bands like that. So he did have teeth back then. To be fair, I listen to it now as a 33-year-old and I kind of
Mm.
chuckle and I'm like, yeah, we've all been there. We've been so mad at someone. Oh, I'm gonna go your house and do this and do that. But like as an older
Yeah.
man, bloody hell, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. As an adult,
But as a more mature adult in life, that I've been through a roller coaster of a ride. You know what I mean. I kind of listen to this and I'm a bit like,
yeah.
bloody hell, mate. You really didn't have to push it that far. Just
True, yeah.
anyway. Your pick now. We've got Gila Monster
Yes.
from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard from
Yes.
2023. Probably the most modern song we've got on here.
I think it is, yeah.
What's the album called?
It's called, let me try and get this correct. It's called Petrodragonic Apocalypse, the Dawn of Eternal Night and the End of Merciless Damnation. It's basically a fantasy concept album, so we're moving away from the gritty, horrible wrath, want to murder a human being thing now, and we're going into a bit of a fun sort of like this song is midway through the album and it is about a monster called the Gila monster, which has been summoned by witchcraft to basically torch the earth.
All right, okay.
It sounds dead cheesy and stupid, but this band they know what they're doing. They're sort of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the name is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They're tongue in cheek band. They're sort of like they're not taking themselves too
Yeah,
seriously.
they're not like a comedy band like Tenacious. They're
No, they're
like
not.
kind of like how The Darkness was, where there was like a lot of tongue in cheek, a
Yeah,
lot of camp, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they still play the music like pretty much more or less seriously, don't they?
Oh yeah, they're a serious they're a serious band in terms of musicianship. Yeah, definitely. Some like I said, they embark on these really ambitious big concept albums sometimes that are just like sort of how did you even conjure this scenario up in your head? I just think they're a really interesting band. So I thought I've not had a chance yet to throw some King Gizzard at John. I'll
Yeah,
throw some at him. I'll throw one of the metal. I'll throw a metal album at him.
yeah.
So
I didn't have too much to say on it, to be honest. I thought it was like quite thrashy and a bit like psychedelic.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
felt like I could envision myself speeding along like a desert, like flying like some desert eagle.
yeah,
I thought it was a pretty naughty, tasty little jam.
yeah, yeah,
I did say like you'll have to explain this because I couldn't really make out the lyrics. It did sound like it fits the sin anyway,
yeah, yeah.
and I was guessing that it was like related to the war for oil. I thought it was very like Middle Eastern conflict,
Do you know what?
U.S. invasion.
It's in,
That's
it's interesting that you picked up on that because a lot
yeah,
of some of these albums that deal with sort of like the end of the world, that they've done a few. They've done Murder of the Universe. They've done this album. They've done Infest the Rat's Nest. A few albums that deal in sort of environmental catastrophe, basically.
right, okay,
So it does tie into that sort of theme a little
yeah,
bit. Maybe not directly to do with the wars, but to do with like climate change and basically end of the world type scenario that's like a
yeah.
dystopian thing that could happen. So it's interesting that you noticed that just from reading the lyrics without knowing the backstory of the album.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was a good song, but
Yeah.
all in all, don't really have lots to say about it.
Yeah, so yeah, The Wrath of the Killer Monster.
Yeah. So my wrath sinner is Axl Rose. Despite seeming a lot calmer and reserved nowadays, Axl was notorious back in the day for being an aggressive fucker, diving into crowds to tackle a cameraman. Do you remember that video where he dives in? He's like, "Because of the arsehole security, I'm going home."
Yes.
And he
Oh my
slams the microphone and storms off.
memory unlocked.
Various incidents like that where he cancelled shows, stopped shows, got into fights. I think even like back around like the 2000s, there was like videos of him like punching paparazzi cameramen and stuff like that. And he's always been like a very aggressive. He's like a little yapping dog, and he's always like especially on some of the stuff from the Use Your Illusions albums, music. Maybe not the most wrathful, but I didn't want to make it too dark because like other contenders I had in mind was like, oh yeah, like Sid Vicious because he like brutally slaughtered his girl. But like it's a bit too dark, so I decided to stick with Axl Rose.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm on the spot here now, right? I've got a couple of people in mind. Well, not people, but like not even specific bands really. But I was going to go with the entirety of the Scandinavian black metal scene from the 90s. So basically, if you read about a bit about it on Wikipedia, they basically got together and burnt down churches.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
basically part of the whole lore behind this genre of music. Bands like Mayhem, Burzum,
Yeah.
bands like that. So yeah, the most wrathful people in music are those that I could think of.
Yeah, as we get closer into Halloween, I think one of the episode ideas I had was, criminal artists.
Yeah,
But that could get dark. So
it could.
let us know. Let us know if you want that episode because I'd love to cover like G.G. Allen
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even some of the really the fucking Lost Prophets and
I was think,
really really dark. It depends.
I was thinking
If you
that.
want it, we'll give it to you.
Yeah,
Let us know.
yeah,
We're moving on now to Envy. Oh, I'm bloody jealous of you.
yeah.
Right, my pick is Placebo's Exit Wounds from the Loud Like Love album from 2013. Cuckold Anthem. Envy of another's lover. Well, actually, I think it's like an ex who's with someone else now. I think there's got to be a point in everyone's life where you have feelings for someone who's with someone else.
Yeah.
I definitely have, or maybe it is just me, but
No, yeah.
personally, I think this is a gem from a lackluster album. I think this is really one of their lowest kind of outputs,
Yeah.
and there was really only a couple of songs that really was worth salvaging from this album. And I think this is one of them. I kind of love Brian's like delivery on this track, really not like holding back me, like very blunt and graphic. The sliding into you delivery kind of makes your toes crawl. It's like I would have her as he's sliding into you.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Like you mentioned about Brian's lyrics, sometimes they can just be a bit like you could have put more thought into it.
Yeah. I love the piano being like all like lovely and sad in the background. The guitar on the chorus. I think this song is great. The only part that I can't say I care for is like that electronic synthy break in it. It was like,
Mm,
and the claps in it as well. There's
yeah,
like some like claps in it, and like. But what did you think of this song? I was cautious with this one. I was like, this is
yeah.
later day Placebo. What's he gonna think of this?
Didn't think it was terrible actually. I thought it was half decent. I
That's a
thought
win enough.
yeah, I
Really.
thought it built up quite nicely and hit a nice sort of crescendo towards the end. Brian's vocals are a little bit more annoying on this song than they were
Yeah,
on.
that's been a big criticism of later day Placebo. Is his
Yeah,
lyrics got more and more kind of whiny as
yeah.
time's gone on.
Lyrics aren't great, and his like you said, the timbre of his voice. It's like he's trying to ham up his normal. It's like just sing your normal style because it's quite nasally and over enunciated anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's trying to do an impression of himself,
yeah.
which sounds weird, but it's a bit like you know what I mean if you listen to it and then listen to like "Without You, I'm Nothing."
Yeah, it's like I said in the past. It's like it's production and producers, and it's like we're a film. Like the people say, if everyone in the film's acting is bad, then it's a bad director.
Yeah,
Whereas you need that someone to push it and be like, do that take again,
yeah,
change them lyrics. I think at this point, with them kind of coming into the era of like legacy bands, you know what I mean? The very more or less left to their own devices.
yeah.
Sometimes you don't always get like the best output from that.
You could get a producer that just is like a yes man, can't you? And just basically just
Yeah.
goes along with whatever the band think is good. The producer will just be like, fine, yeah, we'll leave it in.
And in a way, that harkens back to the pride sin because it's like kind of the ego of the artist gets too high, and then like I don't want a producer that's going to like challenge me or contact me. I am the lead singer of this band. I did all this great music in the past.
Yeah.
I can do this without the. So yeah, you do kind of just bring in yes men.
Mm,
It's all coming full circle. This is all
yeah.
very
Yeah.
deep philosophy. very very deep philosophy on this episode. We're really getting into some
Yeah.
inner spiritual stuff here.
Yeah.
But we move on now to your pick. The less I know, the better. From Tame Impala,
Tame Impala.
2015 album name.
Currents.
Currents. Maybe Envy is my sin because these two songs always kind of hit me in the feels a little bit, to be
Yeah.
honest. Another kind of girl out the reach situation, girl someone else. That's kind of what I interpreted from it a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's exactly the same as what you described the Placebo song as being about. It is basically the same subject matter, dealing
Yeah,
with the envy of seeing your former love with someone else and all that sort of stuff, and trying to sort of be in denial about it, saying like, "Oh, the less I know about that, the better," and all that.
yeah.
But it sounds like a very happy, cheerful sort of summery song, doesn't it? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's one of them great songs, isn't it?
yeah,
Happy song with the sad lyrics, isn't it? I've just got to say right off the bat, this is my favourite of your picks.
yeah,
I love this track.
it's
I think it's great.
it is a brilliant song, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but
Yeah.
the bass line, the bum bum bam
How good
bam
is that bass?
bam bam and all the synths. It's fucking great, man. The one line that really sticks out to me in this song that I really love is "I was doing fine without you."
Yes, the
Like
bridge bit.
it really does hit you, and it does give you that guttural like, oh fucking hell, like you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Really does hit you in the feels, unlike
yeah,
ZZYZX Road that we covered, last time. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like this is an example of getting emotion like right, isn't
Yeah,
it? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. It is. I'm glad you enjoyed this song. I did think that you might enjoy this song.
Yeah, and I'm well aware of this song. It was quite a big hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sort of had the same Impala have had a bit of a renaissance recently through TikTok as well. And this song sort of gets is sort of had a bit of a second wind because, like I said, it came out in 2015. But
Yeah, but again, that's that. It's relatable, isn't it?
yeah,
It's a very relatable song. I think originally my MV pick was "Mr. Brightside" by the Killers because, like,
yeah,
what else? But I thought like that is so obvious. Do we really need to sit down and talk about Mr. Brightside for 10 minutes?
we don't.
My envy sinner. We're going back to Metallica. Dave Mustaine,
Oh yeah,
Mustang. What's his fucking name?
Mustaine. Yeah,
Mustaine.
great pick.
A man who's made his entire career off being bitter and spiteful towards his former band. His whole ambition has run off trying to top and get at Metallica
Yeah,
and try and get them digs in at them, try and try and top them or be their equal, and somehow managing to make a living off it and making a fan base out of it. Like
yeah. They've got a
I
big fan base, haven't they? Megadeth.
I think this guy is just, you know what I mean. To me, like he's trying to be this hard man, this thrash metal man. I think he's pathetic.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I think he really is. Like, and especially when you see him in the some kind of monster documentary, and he's like borderline crying, like, oh, what you guys have just. And it's like, man, like. Yeah, you were with them with the early days. You contributed a lot, but fucking move.
this is 20 years on.
The worst thing is you've done well for yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
so just let it go. And I believe in more recent years that they have, and they've made amends and they've
Hmm.
toured together and that. But just for that again, that 25 year run of just absolute bitterness of just they stole all my riffs, they stole all my music, and like. But again, he was successful, so just
Yeah.
let it be. Let bygones be bygones. I can't stand Megadeth.
Do you know
at
what?
all,
Right? I can't stand. I don't like Megadeth.
Hell, it's me. It's the real me.
I don't like Megadeth. I've never liked Megadeth, and it has been because of Dave Mustaine alone. Like his vocals do my head in so much. Like I can't listen to Megadeth because of his vocals. And as a person, he seems like an absolute shit as well. So,
He's like some born again, like Christian, isn't he now, or
oh,
something like
no
that?
idea. He's an absolute arse, isn't he? Like honestly, I'd be here all day ranting about Dave Mustaine. So yeah,
No love for him. So we're getting sexy now. We're putting the candles on, we're dimming the lights, and we're getting into lust.
yeah.
And my pick is a emo classic. Line is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off. For 2005. Can't remember the album name. Never listened to the album. Again, do I really have to explain this track is just pure horned up?
Yeah.
For me, this is an absolute guilty pleasure. This song, I think it's a little emo jam, another paper round sex jam, like the bloody wish I was a girl, And I think actually, like, I can't believe like I admit some of this stuff sometimes, but I remember like after losing my virginity, listening to this song and being like, yeah, this is like me. This, like, you know what I mean?
I am a what's it called? Like
I am a sex beast.
yeah.
I did notice on a more modern listen that the production is pretty flat on this. The guitar's flat, the drums are poppy, and the bass is barely non-existent, isn't it?
I thought it sounded awful. I just thought it sounded awful.
See,
I thought the vocals were so bare and skeletal, and they had such they sounded so dry and so like it sounded like a demo of sorts that like some a local band would release or something like that. This was my least favourite song that you recommended to me on this entire list. I knew of this song's existence. It had been about 15 years since I listened to it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, like I never liked this sort of stuff. And
see, that's the difference between you and me. Like back in the day, I was a closet emo.
Yeah.
I had to hide it and I had to like, but deep down in the deep recesses of my iPod Nano, this is what was lying there. And like as I say, being like you listen to the lyrics now and like they do give you a bit of it. You do like. You know what I mean? Like, let's get these teen heartbeats faster, modern,
faster,
yeah, faster. So testosterone boys and queen girls, dance to this beat and better touch, you better fuck.
It annoyed me so much. I can't lie. It really annoyed me.
It's again guilty pleasures like stuff like this. I've never really listened to any other Panic at the Disco songs. I don't like that. I came in with you. Haven't you ever heard of closing the goddamn door? Yes, never liked that. The one that like was a bit of an earworm back in the day was 9 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That was like later day, but yeah, like they were never a band I really like gave much time for. But I remember me mate on like MSN like going, oh, this is like a naughty little sex song. This like sensitive, and then like I say, listening to it paper down after me 30-second performance for the first time, going home, headphones in, this song, going, yeah, this is me. I'm living it. This is life. This now.
I love it.
So let's move on to one last thing. Stupid outro, hate it. That stupid like a radio tune, and it goes on to this club song or something like that.
Oh God!
What? Why? No necessarily need. So we move on now to quite a contrast of sounds.
Yeah,
we're going to Lana Del Rey, Norman fucking Rockwell.
Yes,
2019. What's the album called?
It's called Norman fucking Rockwell.
Right, okay. Do you want to take the reins on this one?
So I picked this because it is directly referencing like an abusive relationship that she was in, where she basically stayed with the partner because he was so good looking and she was so attracted to him. Perfect description of lust, really. That's what it symbolises to me, the song, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of like she starts it off by saying, goddamn man-child, you fucked me so good that I almost said I love you.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic songwriter, Lana Del Rey. Like, lyrically, like, I love her. It's not even a guilty pleasure. I just love Lana Del Rey. Her vocal sound as well, the timbre of it tickles my brain in a weird way. Like a sexual kind of way. It's like a bit of an ASMR type thing for me, like Del Rey's voice.
I get it, yeah.
I love it.
I think they're all down bad vibes on this. The first line is the lustiest part. I wasn't expecting like a soppy piano ballad, to be honest. With me with Lust, it's kind of like the animalistic, like fucking hell, like fucking like the previous song. This is more of a slow.
Yeah.
This is something to kind of ease you into the mood a little bit, isn't it? I've been meaning to get into Del Rey for like a while now. I've just kind of been waiting for there's certain bands and artists where it's like I'll wait for the right moment for that, I'll wait until I'm really like with film sometimes it's like I need to sit down, I need to really focus on this. And Del Rey she's on the list, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, if you want feels, then if you want feels, go to this album because it's brilliant.
So I'm glad you put this one in. Nice pleasant track. More catered to the soft, sweet, make love than hot, naughty sex. So yeah, that was only my kind of like interpretation of it. Like I didn't find it that lusty. I didn't find it like me. It's like got that heartbeat Oh, yeah, that's it.
No, I think the reason I picked it for Lust is because of the if you read deeper into the lyrics and the album in general, and a lot of Lana Del Rey's music has dealt with this subject,
Yeah.
is the basically lusting after someone so hard that you will look past all of their faults as a human.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think another relatable thing. We've all kind of been in that position in the past.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Again, glad you appreciated this track because I was a bit apprehensive about it. I was like, oh, he's not gonna be expecting something like this for this list. How's he gonna take to it? How are people gonna take to Lana in general? Because some people do complain that she's a bit depressing, and I can see that because a lot of her music is. You don't come away from her music feeling happy. Let me just
Yeah,
say that.
there's certain artists that are like they're in like a weird space in a weird limbo between like the mainstream
Yeah,
and like pick up more of an alternative fan base.
yeah,
A band, well, an artist for me that like I really kind of think fits in that category, which I really like, is like Florence and the Machine. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like when you say to people like, "Oh, I love Florence and the Machine," and you kind of expect a bit of backlash, like, "Oh, what? Like, that
Mm,
fucking chart like top 40s kind of cap." And it's like, no, if you look deeper into the arms, there's really like something there, especially on the first three
yeah, yeah.
Florence and the Machine records, like really good. So yeah, Del Rey, she's on the list. I need to get on. An album to recommend. What album would you recommend
I
to me?
would recommend this album, Norman fucking Rockwell. That is her best album for me. The
Right.
album that she released last year is
Was it
called.
Sky? Is it Chemtrails Over the Country Club?
No, that is sort of in between Norman Rockwell and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called Don't You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard or something like that. Again, probably her second best album, but as an intro to Lana Del Rey, I would go with Norman fucking Rockwell definitely.
Yeah. Well, that may be a vinyl purchase. So my lust sinner is more topical. Dave Grohl. there's a lot of artists that could easily fit into this character, and I hate to kick a man when he's down, but Dave's been caught down bad. Dave's had his hand in the cookie jar, now he's paying the price. So
Yeah,
he's, you know what I mean? Like he's kind of come across to everyone as this like wholesome, like the nice guy of rock and roll, and he's
mm,
been caught out. He's been not only having an affair, but he's had a child out of
yeah,
he's had a child while being married to his wife of what 20 years or so.
yeah, yeah.
It's caused a lot more backlash than I thought it would, to be honest. Like the band have actually postponed gigs and cancelled gigs over it, which
That's really weird.
yeah, and the whole kind of how it got out with the whole kind of public announcement on social media, it was very blackmail coded. It was either blackmail or it was either his wife like going, "You could go out there and you could tell everyone what you've done, you naughty boy." And
Yeah.
he's like, "I got another confession to make."
Yeah, it's a good topical pick, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not asked. I really am not asked. And some people I've seen take this really like too far and been like, "Oh, I can't believe, oh my god, oh, I'll never listen to Everlong again." And
It's
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 like,
it's
come
his
on,
again. It's his private life. It's not like he's committed a crime, isn't it? Like
no,
it's a lot different to something like the Ian Watkins situation.
yeah. And
It's a lot
we've
different.
all been in a situation where we've been cheated on, or even had affairs, or cheated, or done something like that. It's a very unfortunate. Going back to the seven deadly sins, it's an easy thing to fall into, and
Yeah,
it's naughty. You shouldn't do it. You should be penalised for it. But it's not it's not
yeah.
fucking career ending. I'm sure he'll bounce back off this.
I'm gonna
He can do
throw
like
a
a whole album about it, like a big apology
yeah.
album, and he's like, "I'm really sorry I did that."
I'm gonna throw a lust sinner at you that I think is good. That I think this person may have some lust related skeletons in their closet that we may hear about in the future, and you'll know exactly what I mean when I say his name. Anthony Kiedis.
Oh no, me and Tom deleted a whole portion of an episode about this once
Yeah,
because we were really like, oh no.
I won't say any more about it. I will just say, watch this space.
I've read his autobiography. I've seen it make the rounds. I've seen people out there talking about this. The man has committed some not very good things, and see, this is kind of a problem for me because it's one of the first incidents where it's like this is a band I truly love. I've got a Red Hot Chili Peppers tattoo.
Yeah,
I absolutely love the band. For me, I can kind of put the art in front of the artist. I think Kiedis is you, the whole lot of them, they've got such a fucking history when it comes to like drugs and just wild, crazy lifestyles and stuff. And I just don't really want to go digging too deep into
No,
this because it is again, it's getting into very dark
yeah.
subject matter, isn't it? You know
Well,
what I
what
mean?
is he? Is he in his 60s now? And he's
He's currently got himself a 19-year-old girlfriend.
well, you know what I mean. Like that's what I mean when I say watch this space.
And I mean,
Did it? Did he's just gone down?
it's not illegal, but morally, it's
Mm.
very wrong, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a very kind of stupid thing to do, really.
yeah,
But yeah, as you say, what what'll be will be really.
yeah,
Oh god, it upsets me. On to gluttony, big burger, big chomp, big munch. Well, look, gluttony is just basically overindulgence
yeah.
as a whole, really, isn't it? So my pick is the song "Want" by The Cure from Wild Mood Swings, 1997, and I was really pleased with this one. I was like, this is a real deep cut. This is
Mm.
not even a lot of Cure fans might not know this song "Want." Basically, the opener off the Wild Mood Swings album, again similar to the Placebo one. A very lackluster album and a good song off it. Basically, just wanting, 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 never enough. Perfect summary of the song, in my opinion. I love this song. I think it's great vocals from Robert Smith.
Mm.
A bit of a false setup to a mediocre album. It's a shame, for if the rest of the album carried on this momentum and this energy and this
Yeah.
sound, it probably would have been quite good. I used to buzz that it was a Cure song and it had like drugs and sex in the lyrics because the Cure are a very
Yeah.
cute and cheeky, sweetheart little band, aren't they? Like they don't really, they definitely
Yeah.
tap into some dark territory,
Oh
but
yeah.
they don't really outright like. There's no like profanity. Well, there isn't a couple of songs, but
Mm.
you're not going to get swearing. You're not going to get like crudeness. You're not going to talk. You're not really going to get deep into like
No.
certain things, are you? So to hear Robert Smith like more sex, more drugs, it's like, oh, this is a bit like a bit edgy. This one, bit of edgy. You see, like
Yeah.
this is put the kids to bed for this one, like because
Yeah.
we're getting deep in it. Your thoughts on Want?
I thought that it sounded like it had the potential to be a very, very good song, especially live, but I just thought the production let it down. I did think that it sounded a little bit loudness warish, like sort of, there was a bit of a clash going on, instruments sort of
Yeah.
bled into each other.
This is mid 90s,
Yeah,
and it's had no since it's well, it's had a vinyl remaster, but that's stuck on a record store day exclusive record.
yeah,
This is like mastered as it was back in the day. So
yeah.
I think sometimes you got to give a little bit of like,
Oh, yeah,
you
you've
know
got.
what I mean?
I looked at when it came out. It came out in '96, I think.
Oh yeah, 96. I put
Yeah, its
97. Yeah,
peak loudness was sort of like '96 to 2000 was that thing, wasn't it? Where like
yeah,
you had a lot of albums suffering from the same sort of thing at this time. Again, it's a sort of song that once you hear a live performance of this song and you give all the instruments room to breathe and sort of that type of setting. I could imagine this being a very good song. It's got a very sweet sort of melody to it, hasn't it?
yeah.
And again, Robert's vocals. You can never fault Robert's vocals. He hits the nail on the head every time, doesn't he? From when they first came through in the '70s to even right now on the brand
Yeah,
new song
he's
that they've just
so
released.
distinct
He's
and so
yeah,
unique,
he has not missed a beat as he sounds exactly the same as he did for 30, 40 years ago. So there are elements to this track that I really enjoyed. I just think it could either do with a remaster or yeah, I could do with hearing this song maybe live or in a different setting. It was a good song that was done no favours by the sound, the production on the album.
Yeah.
In terms of the lyrical content, I just wanted to say, like, I didn't read too deeply into it. What's it referring to when you're talking about wanting more and more and more? More what? More success?
More sex, more drugs, more
More drugs, more sex.
life, more lust.
So this song could have
It's
gone
just
in. It could have gone in lust, couldn't it? It could have also
yeah,
gone in
that's it.
greed.
Yeah, yeah. It's just again, give me more, give me more, give me more. And
Yeah,
he said that I think the line that kind of stuck out to me that fits his sin is like, no matter how matter how hard I try, I never find more hope or any more time.
yeah,
It's just nothing will satisfy. And there was another song that could have picked by The Cure called "The Hungry Ghost." Will never satisfy the hungry ghost.
That's so cute.
It is so it's so adorable. The Cure is so lovely and
Yeah,
cuddly. I love him.
yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to
Yes.
The Glowing Man by Swans, 2016.
Oh, I've been so excited for
Go,
this.
go on, you take it away. You explain it, and I'll give you my thoughts afterwards.
I will need some time to explain why I picked this
Well, it's a 28-minute song, so
this piece to you. It's not. I don't like to call stuff like this as songs because it's not a song. Is it? Someone said to you, "Sing me a song." I wouldn't start singing The Glowing Man. But anyway, I picked this for Gluttony because it's 28 minutes long. It's an experimental song. I thought, when am I ever going to get a chance to throw an experimental piece of music at John? I thought, I'm just going to do it. I was not expecting you to come back to me and say, I really like that song. I'm going to go back to that song. I just wanted to
I
throw.
wanted to surprise you. You know what I mean? I
But
wanted to like it, but
I wanted to throw something at you that I knew that there was no chance you had ever been exposed to anything like this before. I just thought, like, I could have picked longer Swans songs. I could have picked the 43-minute track, The Beggar Lover, off the latest album. I could have picked 34-minute Sia or Bring the Sun, but I thought, I'll go easy on him and I'll give him this 28-minute piece instead. The Glowing Man. It's gluttonous because I can imagine 99% of people that listen to this song will have the same reaction. They'll come back and they'll say, what the hell is this? Pretentious, overblown nonsense.
yeah.
And I fully understand that reaction because the first time I ever listened to Swans, or this era of Swans, I did not get it whatsoever. I was like, what am I supposed to be looking out for here? What am I supposed to be listening for? Is supposed to be grabbing me about this music? And I still find it hard to explain to people who don't get it what it is I enjoy about it. It's just so like nothing I have ever heard before. I don't know. It's like I'll let you give me your
Right, okay.
first impression of this song.
So when you sent the song over, you were really emphasizing that I had to be like, really get yourself in a position to listen to this song. You were like, don't just have it on in the background. Really sit there and take it in. I've been pretty ill this week, so I was like on the couch, half dead, like, I put it on, and I was like,
No.
I might die. I might fucking die. 28 minutes is just like, look, I've gone into song lengths before, and I'm very, very like iffy on song lengths. I think personally, songs should really never really exceed any longer than the 6 minute mark, unless it deserves it or it has something to make the song continue. Like, for example, Dogs by Pink Floyd, 17 minutes, mammoth of a track.
Yeah, prog is one of them genres, isn't it? Where you've got to
Yeah,
expect the longer length.
love that song, but I could have got a chopper, I could have got a machete and chopped large chunks out of that. The bit where it's just like the Sims, like
Yeah.
with the dog,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that is just get rid of that. That is, as you say, pretentious and like, oh fucking hell, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Just get on to the next bit.
mhm.
This song for me, it felt like multiple songs all at once, and it also felt like,
Yeah.
let's just bash our instruments against the wall and make noise. It was like most of it was just fucking noise.
Noise, yeah, yeah.
And look, I appreciate a bit of noise. Like in Saturn Split, like we used to end one of the songs and I used just to open strum all the fucking notes on the bass, fucking create this big wall of noise, big long outro. You know what I mean? Really get the place rumbling, but. And I can see live, this would be like, whoa, good hell.
Well, that's it.
But
If you hear this, sort of stuff live,
if
that's why they give out
if I
earplugs. But
want noise, I'll go to a construction site.
if,
You know what I mean? I'll watch like bomb explosion footage on YouTube. Like I don't need for fucking 5 minutes
well, that's the
straight.
thing. Like that
And then
section that you're referring to there is like I was out on a nighttime walk and I thought I'll whack this song on because I knew that we were going to be listening to it on the podcast. And I was walking along and this bit started. That round the 7 minute mark, it is literally a one note hammer on it.
yeah,
And that goes on for 5-6 minutes, and it is literally it. It sounds so suffocating, and intense that I felt like someone was chasing me. Like I actually sped up my
Yeah,
walk.
in the darkness
Yeah,
and witness.
like I felt like someone was gaining on me behind it. It was like such a surreal feeling that only certain styles of music can actually make you feel like that, in my opinion. Not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, not necessarily something you want to feel, but to me, it's just so interesting that it's like human beings are creating this noise like this, and it really is a cacophony, isn't it? It's just so many things going on at once and just crashing down and crashing down. Just sounds like the apocalypse is about to happen any minute.
Yeah,
So again, like the bit that I was interested to hear your thoughts on is: did you listen to this song in full?
I did. Yeah, I did.
What was your reaction when it got to the 17-minute mark and the little groovy part started?
Oh, yeah, the actual song. Yeah, the actual song. I didn't mind itself. Like there were parts of it. It was like, oh yeah, this sounds like my kind of cup of tea. Like, but
I am
just,
a growing, glowing man.
yeah, I just it agitated me.
Yeah,
My finger was just twitching on that skip button. I was
yeah,
like, oh my god, do I just lie and say I listened to it? You know, am I missing out on any? That's the worst thing about long songs is like if you skip a load and then you don't even miss out on anything,
yeah,
then why was it long? Like a
yeah,
prog is a genre on its own, and I dip my little sweet little toes into prog. I've
yeah,
got you know I listen to a bit. I've listened to a bit of Marillion. I've listened to obviously you know like Pink Floyd, more modern Iron Maiden, which I have my gripes with to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like there's just
So if you
wasn't a fan. I
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
a fan.
again, I didn't expect you to come back and be a fan of this song, but I wanted to sort of just get your reaction anyway, just to see what specifically you thought about. What would you classify this music as? If you had to give a genre to this, what would you call it?
I would call it like alternative noise rock or something like that. I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there's about 8 different genres in there, but noise rock is something that Swans have always had in their repertoire, and it's stayed with them. So the noise element is definitely there. And like I said, it is a genre. There's a genre of music called noise. So if you think this is just noise, there is really truly some music out there that is just noise, no drums, nothing, no
Yeah,
vocals. So yeah, I just thought I'm glad I picked it because I'm glad that we had the opportunity to discuss something truly experimental, like really sort of like one of a kind type music on the playlist.
yeah. No, I appreciate it for that, you know, and I appreciate it for its kind of ambition. I appreciate it, you know.
Yeah,
I kind of I like the element of a jam, you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you know, I'm glad I never have to listen to that song ever again.
What would you call this gluttonous?
I certainly would. Yeah, this
Good.
is
That's all.
proof of indulgence in every sense of the word, and
That's all I wanted to hear.
yeah. So my gluttony sinner is Elvis Presley. I really wanted to avoid making this a comment on like, oh yeah, because he got fat and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it wasn't just the food for Elvis. He overindulged with everything, didn't he? You know what I mean?
yeah,
He had the fame, he had the wealth, he had the drugs, he had the yes men all around him. You know, he was a hound dog one. He was a little sex hound.
yeah.
Speaking of, you know, unearthed trouble from the past,
Mm.
you know, look into Elvis's history, and you won't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what you find. You know, you know, eventually, you know, he took too much of everything, and he died. And what other way can a gluttonous character die but
Yeah.
on his own toilet from
No,
an impacted colon?
yeah, no, you are spot on with that. It's a really good shout. Gluttony. Again, what am I supposed to pick for a gluttony sinner other than someone that just didn't take care of themselves or whatever and suffered a horrible fate, like Elvis? I
Yeah,
don't know. I'd
Jim
struggle.
Morrison, he was pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, it's kind of one of them, but I kind of want to avoid just being it. Oh, he got big, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
He died on the toilet.
Yeah, yeah, you
Eating,
know,
eating a hamburger. I love the way that like little myth just like it kept
yeah,
growing little legs, didn't it?
yeah. He did die. Yeah, he did die on the toilet, I believe. But it was, yeah, I don't think he was eating
He
a
just
hamburger.
sort of kept adding bits onto it.
Oh,
Oh, and he had a hamburger in his
I have
mouth.
a hamburger, mama. We're moving to oh yeah, slow, tired,
Yeah.
lazy, cute. My pick is the cutest song in the world, Spent the Day in Bed by Morrissey from 2017 off his low in high school album.
Uh,
Cute, soft, lovely, silly Billy Morrissey. I was delighted to see the 3 minute time length after listening to that previous song. So I was like, oh, it's only like 3 minute 15. Get in. Lovely. A song about staying in bed and not watching the news for some reason because it's spooky. Besides the naff synthy bits, I do like this song and its message. Whenever I have a sick day or a day off, I do think about this song a bit, to be honest. I used to like sadly play it on the bus to work when I had to commute to one of my jobs. I know the bit was like, no train, no pain, no bus, no bus. And I'm like, wish that was me.
oh, God. It's so cute and harmless, this
It
song,
is,
isn't it?
isn't it? Yeah.
It's I can't hate this song because it did give me a little smile. It did give me a little sort of like, oh, God bless him. He's like, he's tired and he just doesn't want to go work, and he's just like, no, he's on the bus.
For a man who's never worked a day in his life,
Yeah.
he managed to get the message across quite well, to be fair.
Yeah, again, that little synth bit is
Bibbidi-boo-boo.
isn't it?
Lick-digga-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. What did you think of the chorus? The stop watching the news
It's just
because the news contrives to frighten you.
it's just classic Morrissey. It's got everything from him. It's got the sort of like the pompous accent and the sort of like
Yeah,
it's got all the Morrissey isms in it, isn't it?
this was right before Morrissey kind of
Yeah,
pressed the self destruct button on his career
yeah,
and started coming out with some pretty, pretty hot takes, would you say?
yeah,
And like, you could tell that he was getting, you could tell he was like lining himself up in a political direction on like start watching the news,
yeah, yeah.
fake
Base red
news and all
pill.
that. Yeah, base and red pilled Morrissey. It just doesn't really match with the song. I think like it just feels like he wants to get it out. Like he's like a boomer on Facebook, and he just
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
like just has to comment under something about like, oh, back in my day, black and white TVs, and it's
He's
like,
he's proper boomer
okay,
energy. He's proper boomer energy, isn't he, Morrissey? Like he's boomer coded.
yes, boomer coded. He's so cute.
Yes, yes.
Then we get Fear of a Blank Planet by Porcupine Tree,
Yeah.
2007.
hmm
Album name.
Fear of a Blank Planet. The subject. So specifically, this song is lyrically is about like basically a teenager who doesn't leave his bedroom,
Yeah.
is wedded to things like his Xbox and stuff like that, and just like doesn't do anything. It's the anthem for me when I was 14 years old. Basically, I was a lazy shit, wouldn't do anything. But it's basically more about being consumed by modern technologies.
Yeah.
So consumed with modern technologies that you don't accomplish anything, with your life, and the fear of technology taking over in the future, which is what it references in the title of the album on the song "Fear of a Blank Planet." So yeah, what did you actually think of the song itself?
I haven't got too much to say because fitting in with the Sloth Sin, I think by this point, after hearing that fucking Glowing Man song, I was a bit exhausted, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I dug this track quite a bit, though, to be fair. I like the guitars a lot. Felt there was like a good like sense of tension in it.
yeah, yeah,
Hooky chorus. I just thought it was a good jam. Again, I could pick up certain things from the lyrics, like as you said, like the technology and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I mean, all in all, I just thought it was a good song. I
yeah,
didn't really have like too much to kind of like reflect on it. Again, at this point, I'm just sloth. I'm done in. I'm
yeah.
caved in. You know what I mean? I was like, oh fucking hell, I'll go to bed.
Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, I just recommended this song obviously because it's
Certainly something I'd never heard before from a band I'd never even heard of. So it was interesting.
I
Yeah,
thought I did think you might like it because I thought it's a modern prog song that's not too long. It's not the gluttonous nonsense that you just listened to.
yeah,
I thought it's got a nice little hook to it. It's got a nice little it's got nice ambience, especially in the outro. Stephen Wilson's vocals are very agreeable and very sort of like very instantly, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a specific word to say that like it's like accessible. He's like got a very accessible voice. He's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you sort of you feel like you've heard his voice before. It's oddly familiar,
yeah,
but
yeah. I think I got that. Yeah,
but you also know it's him when he's singing. If you listen to Porcupine Tree's other stuff, so yeah, I was happy with this recommendation. I thought the subject matter was very sloth. And this is just a great album. If you haven't listened to this album, although be aware that there is a 17-minute song on this album, but you might take to that song more than you took to the Glove
Yeah,
Man because
yeah.
it's more proggy Pink Floydy
Yeah, okay.
influence type stuff. So probably check out Further Blank Planet.
Yep, fair enough. My sloth sinner is Robert Smith of The Cure.
Oh,
You might I know more about this than you would, so let me explain.
mm,
He's definitely in my good books of late. And to show good faith, I'm putting him in here because as much as I love him, he's bad for putting things on the back burner.
mm,
Many upcoming Cure projects have been in limbo for years. Not just this new album, which they started working in 2018, by the way.
yeah,
If you didn't know, this isn't just like, oh, they got in the studio last year
yeah,
and put one out, and it's been 16 years since the last record.
mm,
But various box set collections, reissues, like we still half their discography is still yet to be reissued onto vinyl. Again, that's more of a me thing with my vinyl collecting. But again, going back to Wild Mood Swings, there's no remastered on Spotify or anything
mm,
like that.
yeah,
There's a lot that they could put out. And I'm waiting there. I've got my money waiting to give them. Like
yeah,
they kind of just sits on things quite a bit. Their merch as well is really like lazy and uninspired. Like
yeah,
if you ever look at their merch, like there really isn't anything really that well designed or good. It's just usually album cover printed on a shirt. And the one thing they're notorious for in the fan base is bucket hats. They
oh
love selling bucket hats, and it's like
yeah,
I've never seen anyone in a bucket hat, like in a
yeah,
Cure bucket hat ever. Not even at the gigs, anything like that. Like I don't understand what their management team love about bucket hats.
mm,
And yeah, the merch is lazy and uninspired, and there's just endless picture disc releases. Like every year we're just getting picture discs, and like one of the last ones, Blood Flowers. The album was like obviously because it's from 2000, because it's blown up onto a vinyl cover. It's
yeah,
really like pixelated. It
oh yeah,
looks really rough. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Cure, but mainly aiming it at Robert Smith for Sloth for me.
yeah. No. I don't know if I have a sloth pick as well because I'm trying to do this sort of on the fly. Sloth. Who's a lazy artist? Will I am. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Will I am. He's a slothy sloth.
Such a lazy songwriter. Such a sort of like yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I don't ever feel like he puts any effort into his songwriting or his performance. He's always just like.
Yeah, it feels like he's
Tonight's gonna be a good night.
he's found a gimmick and he's just gone full. You've
Yeah,
turned the dial full up, hasn't he? Like
yeah,
I say, the Black Eyed Peas were like a kind of hip hoppy, rappy kind of. They had something somewhat interesting in their early
yeah.
days, like a bit of funk and stuff like that. And then it was
Mm,
around the 2000 where you discovered I think it's called Zero Production Auto Tune. That's how you
yeah,
get that robotic voice, isn't it?
yeah,
And then like they released that, yeah, like fucking I've got a feeling, rock that body, and
yeah,
fucking what was the other one? Fucking boom boom power
yeah.
and all
Boom,
that.
boom, power.
Yeah, and they just rode that. Then he was like that. This is it now.
Yeah,
It was very late 2000s coded.
yeah,
You
massively.
don't hear much from him these days, do you? I know he does that TV show,
Yeah,
doesn't he? The Voice or
yeah, I
whatever.
mean, he's basically a judge on The Voice. I mean, how he is judging anyone's musical ability, vocal ability, I will never know. I don't know how they ended up looking down the list of who could we pick as a judge for this vocal talent show. I don't know how far down Will I Am was on that list, but he must have been pretty far down.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it. That'll wrap us up, and we did all our rigmarole at the beginning, so we can just end it now, can't we?
Yeah, we can. So yeah, it was a good episode. Enjoyed that. Very interesting concept. I'm glad I've managed to expose you to some music that you had never heard before and now like, and
Yeah.
also some music that you had never heard before and will never revisit.
Yeah, great. So, thoughts, comments, concerns, let us know. Playlist will be in the description, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Saints and sinners, something within us. I'm just going to cut this.